What's up, guys? So, I figure I would just make this video right now to tell y'all what the fuck's been going on. A lot of people seem to have been under the impression that when I started titling things like day 1, day 2, day 3, that it in some way referred to uh, my sobriety, my recovery. And I understand, given that this is the nature of what this channel initially was. And just, I got my phone here, so. But, so like, everybody assumed, oh shit, Brian had to have relapsed. Oh no, here we go. No, man. And in some ways, I almost wish that was the case, but nope. So, contrary to popular belief, these little things on the tip of my nose, they're not meth scars and meth pickings, people. You guys are silly. They are, in reality, just blackheads and pimples that were bleeding. I've washed my face about 50 times. I can't get that one to stop bleeding, so y'all just gonna have to fucking deal with it. Sorry. But, the reality is, me and my wife, who pretty much all of you guys have been on this journey, y'all knew was here. We have decided to take a step back. She's still battling her issues. My depression was just worsening and worsening and worsening, and overall, I think we both realized there's too much pain over the last 15 years that never got resolved to continue building towards the future, because we still harbor so much resentment and a lot of it is my frustrations, I guess, with her addiction and not being willing to put in the effort to get clean when I made the same effort for us. But in reality, I am a 40-year-old man who has, pretty much since he was 15, 16, been in a relationship. And I would just leave one to the next to the next. I'm a very flawed man. Every relationship prior, I've cheated. Every relationship prior, I did everything a boyfriend should not really do. I've never been the greatest of guys. I've always been willing to kind of color outside the lines of legalities, and ultimately, for a while, that led me and my foolish ego to believe that I was, I don't know, untouchable, unfuckwithable. And then I started working at a detail shop for a very connected guy in the criminal underworld. I'm trying to very carefully skirt around a lot of shit. But the reality is, I would work with him when I was 14. I would skip school, and I'd just work with him. And somewhere along the way, despite not being of any Italian heritage, my Irish ass became very trusted. And that started to create a very, very unfuckwithable reputation. And ultimately, no matter what mess was made, there was always a cleaner. And that mentality carried over long after that person, that influence, lost his battle. But my reputation still stands rock solid, just about anywhere from Toledo to Detroit. A lot of things I've cleaned up or done that I'm just not necessarily proud of, but a lot of lines that I didn't cross either that people just naturally assume that I did. However, over the 15 years spent with my significant other, somehow I morphed from a piece of shit who had already walked out on, multiple women, a couple children. I wasn't man enough. I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature. I was too selfish. I was a typical guy. And a lot of those people didn't deserve the piece of shit that I was. But in reality, man, I was just too scared and insecure to face any kind of actual work. I took the easy path every single time. The path of least resistance. The path of instant gratification. Cheap money, cheap women. And ultimately, man, it leads you to be a very broken person. And when your childhood already left you feeling either abused, neglected, or just not quite as good, it's a very toxic recipe to create a very toxic person. And you can only try to impose your will on someone for so long. And then, for whatever reason, whether it was the birth of our first kid, moving from here to Indy to St. Louis, back to here, a lot of things along the way, losing my mom, having to be the one to decide whether or not to remove life support. I mean, it was a lot, man. I ain't gonna sit here and trip like, oh, it's been a fucking cake ride. Nah, man, it hasn't. But I've also bluffed nobody. Once I allowed people to just see the truth, and I accepted whatever the truth was, and I set out on a mission to not have this relationship that everybody doubted from the very, very start. I set out to shut them all the fuck up. Oh, he'll never be a father? Shut the fuck up, watch me. Oh, he'll never stick around for her? Shut the fuck up, watch me. And for 15 years, I held on as tight as I could. And took numerous shots to the ego, to my pride, to my manhood, to my self-esteem, to my sense of self-worth. But I also inflicted those same shots upon her. And towards the end, I kept telling her, like, I genuinely love you. And if it takes me stepping out of the way for you to truly be happy, then that's truly what I want for you. I love you enough to understand that I might not be the man for you. I still believe it. And it took me humbling myself and for me to look myself in the eyes and go, B, you really ain't shit. Yeah, you got this reputation, but your reputation ain't paying no motherfucking bills, dog. You ain't shit. Boom. There it is. The $1 million flaw. Except the only thing it did is wake up a fucking giant. The reason I became as respected as I became is because I was willing to put in the work that they weren't. That I was willing to put in the hours to clean up the messes, to fix the situations, to address the shortcomings, and to accept my faults. The only thing I am now is motivated to show you when I've told you there's actual growth. There's a human being in here that legitimately seeks nothing but deep conversations, genuine connections, honest, uncomfortable dialogue, and a sense of exploration, man. I want to do things that I've just never done. I want to see things. I want to explore. I want to mesh with other cultures. I want to eat foreign foods. I want to try and see the world through any other prism other than the prism of which I've always seen it through. And that was purely as somebody who had their back against the wall, and it was purely survival. I was going to make you respect me, and I didn't give a fuck how I had to do it. And I learned along the way that the only thing real are the miles traveled and the memories made. It's never the destination, man. It's always the journey. Yeah, you'll look back on a vacation and go, oh, I went to Boston. But if you're being honest, was going to Boston what stood out? Or was it sitting there in a Bruins game with your arm around each other, just soaking in the environment, going, this is one of the greatest environments I've ever been in the moment. That moment, that bond between right there, that's real. It was authentic then, it's authentic now. It's the only thing that'll ever stand the test of time other than honesty and the truth. Because at the end of the day, when you're on your back in your casket, nobody gives a fuck what your net worth was then. And you sure as fuck ain't gonna have an ATM on the way to heaven, baby boy, so you better accept the fact that the only thing that truly matters is how you treat other people. Because the only thing they're gonna remember about you is how you treated them and how you made them feel. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned in 40 years of life so far. Now, down below in the comments section, I don't care if you're the strongest, manliest of men and you haven't cried in 20 years. Or if you're a 14-year-old kid who feels like nobody at school likes you. None of the girls will give you a chance. You dress too dark, you're too nerdy, you got bad acne, whatever, man. Whatever your issue is. Stop putting yourself into a box to be failed. Stop. You're no different than me. I promise we want the same hopes, goals, and dreams. You're no different. It doesn't matter what race you are, what nationality, what sexuality, what gender. Do you want to be happy? Me too. Do you want a significant other that you would just die for and you know would die for you? Yeah, me too. If I cut your throat right now, you're gonna bleed red, right? Yeah, me too. Heart beats how many ever times per second on average, right? Yeah, me too. And when someone hurts your feelings, you cry because it hurts, right? Yeah, me too. So what the fuck we talking about, man? We're not different. I am just willing to rip the scabs off of all my life's trauma and bleed out for all to see. Because I know once the bleeding stops, that wound will begin to heal, and it'll just be a scar. And call me crazy, but a wise man once told me a long time ago, boy, chicks dig scars. So there's one that went all the way to my bone. You guys can see it. I still have no feeling on that side of my hand. As a result, let's talk scars. So I don't know. I mean, those are the hands of apparently an inherently violent man who no longer has any desire to be violent. I want something real. And it comes down to when me and Stephanie had went to Boston. The last day we went to New York and we took a subway out to Coney Island. I had no idea why I wanted to go, I just knew I had to. And as her and I are walking, I just look up and I'll post the picture. Hopefully I can figure out how to edit it right here. If not, but fucking I'm an idiot, whatever. But it was just an elderly couple, still. She had her arm in his. Busy ass world around them, running at a New York City frantic pace. And they were just holding hands, walking as the sun went down. Boardwalk, Coney Island. Every point to prove already proven. Every I love you ever needed to be said already said. Every I'm sorry, every I forgive you. And the only thing that was left was the love. But the love was the only thing real on that entire fucking boardwalk. And I took a picture of it. And I never got to introduce myself to that couple. I have no idea who they were. I would love to find out. So hopefully I can post this picture. It was taken like March 8th of 2020, Boardwalk, Coney Island, New York. If anybody has any idea who these two people could be, can you please tell me? Because these two people, I truly believe, in that moment, I was able to feel the love that they shared and knew right then in that moment that that is exactly what I'm after in this world. And from that moment, I've kind of just known exactly what it takes. And I'm excited to be 80 on Coney Island and just look over and have nothing but the love left. That is almost made it, huh? That is ultimately, man, what I'm after. That's why I'm titling this whole thing just the journey of fulfillment. I have no idea who that person will be, but I know after 15 years that I need to get as close to the real thing as I possibly can. So now I need you guys. The hurt guys, the strong guys, the tough guys, the street guys, the thug ass motherfuckers. The nerdy ones of y'all motherfuckers out there doing tax returns for people this time of year. All my boosters, all my sneakerheads, all my 2K gamers, and anybody out there, anybody who would rather listen to the emotional lyrics of J. Cole over the beats J. Cole chooses. Comment below. I want to know about your trauma. I want to know why you chose to keep going at your darkest moment. Because make no mistake about it, I'm only 5 days into this, you guys. I just moved out 5 days ago. It's all that raw. And I'm going to rebuild my life on the fly in front of you. Okay? As of this second, there's no money, there's no job, there's nothing. And I'm going to rebuild it all right in front of you. There's a pending job offer. That's it. I'm excited. Because now I can succeed or fail strictly on my own merit. And that, my friends, is all you ever need. Everything you need is already within you. And think back to your darkest moment. You're at least stronger than that. Because you're still here. Think about that. The moment that you look back on as your darkest moment is really the moment you found out that you're fucking stronger than that. Come on, man. Appreciate y'all taking this journey to fulfillment with me. I genuinely appreciate y'all. Till next time, man. It's Brian D. And I hope you guys stay gold.